All right, so here we are with episode one. Hello to those of you on YouTube. Hello to those of you on Spotify. It's great to be with you for this very first episode as we get ready to launch what we're calling Generate Word. And so I'm pretty excited about this. We've been praying about what this could look like and what this could turn into. And when we brought this idea of a podcast to you guys, specifically the students, we had an overwhelming response, verbally, also via Instagram. We posted up a poll about that. There was a lot of cool things that were going to come out of this. I think that people were really excited for, and so we did a lot of praying on this and did a lot of thinking about what's next for this type of idea. And so here we are. This is the very first episode, and I'm pretty excited. Thank you to Josh Booth, who actually helped us get kind of everything kind of situated and figured out here. So a huge thank you to Josh Booth, who used to be with the Fish, but now he has his own thing. I think it's something with Friends, Afternoon with Friends, I think. And so he does his own live show on the radio. And so, Josh, huge thank you to you, and just appreciate your willingness to come out and just help us get this thing set up for the immediate time being. And so, as I go about episode one here, guys, this isn't going to be a typical episode, mainly because I kind of want to get to what we're going to be doing on here and kind of explain it for those of the people that don't know, right? Maybe the parents, maybe the congregation members that hear about it or something like that. I want to jump into what this is kind of going to be. And so, kind of what's going to be happening here is we're going to hopefully have four people on the podcast every week. Now, I don't know if that'll be totally viable as we do every single session every single week, but I would love to have four people on. I'm not saying we have to have four different people, but those four people can be a lot of different people. But that's the goal, is to have four different people here. We have four microphones set up here, ready to go, that we're ready to use. And so as we come to the coming weeks and we address these topics, we just want to hit on just a lot of cool things that are going to be coming up. And so for those of you that are on YouTube, you're going to have the camera view, and so hopefully this turns out. You won't always have this view that you see right now. I have it a little bit pushed up on me just because I'm the only one here as we kind of get this intro rolled out. But you'll be able to see everybody in all four chairs here as we get normal, and then also you will be able to see the screen here off to what is going to be my left, that will hopefully have some key points and kind of tracking stuff with us as we go throughout these podcast episodes. So if you're tuning in on YouTube, hello to you. It's great to see you, and hopefully this video part will work for us and we'll be able to connect in this way, and you'll be able to watch on YouTube. For those of you on Spotify, thanks for listening in. I hope the car ride's great. I hope the school bus ride's great. I hope whatever it is that you're doing is going great. It's just it's a cool avenue that we get to have the ability to do both YouTube and Spotify here for this. So we're really excited about that. Things that are going to be talked about, right? I want to talk about some upcoming topics and kind of what's going to be going on. And so the first several things that we have are just kind of some topics that I kind of asked our leaders about. What do you feel that you wish our students would connect more with, right? And I got a lot of different answers from our leaders. I got a lot of different answers from other people that are a part of Alliance Friends congregation and stuff like that. And so I'm just going to kind of give you a little bit of a breakdown of what we're going to be expecting here, at least to start. Right now, these things can change, these things can grow, these things will maybe be double backed on, or maybe added to, or maybe be two or three parters, based on just kind of what we're trying to work with. But I just want you to know that it's really important that each week we target certain areas, especially that students are challenged with or are even succeeding in. And the reason behind that is I think a lot of students today are struggling with, how do I live out this faith thing that I guess committed to and accepted Jesus into my heart to. And so how do I use that? How do I change my lifestyle? How am I walking with God daily? And so hopefully all these things are going to be able to address the challenges and the good things of life. And so just a couple of the quick topics that we're going to be covering here that we've kind of come up with as leaders and just getting input from people around the community is worship, anxiety, self-image, challenges of sharing faith in school, loving the enemy, encouragement, and quiet times with God. All of those things are great, and they are definitely things that I'm sure students, adults, I mean, people struggle with those things all day, every day. Um, I would say definitely for me, I see a lot of students struggling with that idea of what does it look like to just sit down with God? How do I do that? What does that sound like? What can that be? What does that have to be, right? And there's a lot of questions that come alongside of that. And so hopefully when we get to that type of topic, we'll be able to answer that for you guys. And parents, if you're tuning in and listening, I hope that this is a tool for you. I hope that this is a resource that you can rely on. I hope this is a resource that you can start to connect with your middle schooler or high schooler over as we start to conquer these different things. I hope these topics give you perspective, but also where God comes from the Bible perspective of what God says and what Jesus kind of did while he was on his time on earth and what he exemplified and all the things that he urges those that walk by faith to do each day. And so I hope that you find just as much resource in this as students do. Students, again, this is for you, but I would encourage you to definitely loop your parents in. Make sure that they know that this is going on. This is a place where they can kind of come and get ready to hear what God has for students each and every day. So going along with the topics, a lot of those topics, of course, I'm not going to say that I'm an expert in, right? And I'm not going to claim to be an expert in any one of these certain topics. But I do know some people that have experience in some of these topics and just kind of be able to create conversation with them. And so kind of ideas of what we're going to try to look for to have on future episodes is we'd love to have students come in and be able to ask questions. I'd love to have maybe a teacher or two from one of our local high schools or middle schools come in and kind of share with us what they see with the student body, right? I would love to maybe have a couple of parents on from time to time just to see kind of where the parent aspect is coming into all of this. And so with all those types of things, I'd love to have a couple health professionals. And by a couple, I mean just for the near future, right? I'd love to just have a couple and be able to do just several things, especially a counselor would be one of my preferences. I know I would love to ask Michelle Mungo to be a part of this at one episode, especially when we talk about things like anxiety. She's a great resource to us here at Alliance Friends, and I think she'd be a great resource for our students here as well. She'd be able to share her counseling professional wisdom with us. So I'm really hoping that'll happen. I'm really hoping we get other people too. I would love to hear from other people. I mean, if you're hearing this and you're like, hey, I think I can probably point to a piece of this that might be helpful for you, I would love to hear from you. I'd love to talk to you about that and just be able to connect over all those types of things. So for today, what I want to do is I want to encourage you students and you parents to start asking yourself questions. I want you to start asking yourself questions of what does this faith journey look like? And what I want you to do with those questions is I want you to do your best to get them down on paper, right? Get them down so that way you can take them and you can give them to me and we can kind of start looking at what some of these things are and addressing these types of things. I'm a recent new parent, so parents, I'm not saying I'm going to have all the answers for you, but I would love to walk alongside of you in this process as we do that. So students, you as well, as you come across things, we would love to hear about your input. Maybe it's something that we haven't covered yet, or maybe it's something that we haven't talked about yet, and you would just really like to hear that talked about. Shoot us a DM on Instagram, shoot me a DM on GroupMe, text me, have your parents text me, whatever it is that you feel like you can get to reach out to me. We would love to hear from you. One of the coolest things about doing something like this with 4 microphones and I guess plenty of time is that it can kind of be conversation. Those of you that are viewing on YouTube, this is set up where like 4 people could just kind of talk. And so those of you on Spotify, there's just a conversation room pretty much that's been created here. And I would love to make this just like that, a place where we can conversate and talk, bounce questions off of each other and bounce ideas. I'm not saying we're going to be able to answer anything and everything live and on the show, but It's a place where we can just kind of hash some things out and talk through, especially when we have students on and parents where they can ask questions and kind of get the ball rolling on the topics of the day. So I would encourage you to do that, to start to do that, parents and students. Start to figure out what it is that maybe you're personally struggling with, or if you want it to be something that you've seen your child struggle with or something like that. There, we would love to hear all of those topics. That way we can be as best of a resource as we can as we get ready to dive into this together, to be, just bring the word of God closer and into the light of teenagers. And that's really, like I said, the whole goal is that way we see what Jesus and what God have to say about all of the things that we go through here in 2025 in Scripture. With each episode, obviously, we want to dive into a time of prayer together and dive into a time of being able to just communicate with God. Thank God for what he's done. Thank God for the people that he's given to make this podcast happen, to make this thing happen, to people like just thanking Josh Booth, right? Just for the ability that he's received and the knowledge that he has, and just how God's been using him in his certain area of life. It's just one of those things where we just have to give back to God, right? We have to thank God for what he's done and allow him into what's coming ahead. So prayer is going to be a big part of this. Perspective, right? A lot of perspective is going to be on this, and I'm going to be open and honest with you from the beginning. Not everybody here is going to be a super Christian theologically, and not everybody's going to be able to be a super Christian theologically. Some people that may be on this podcast have serious questions about their faith, and until that question gets answered, they're like, this whole Jesus thing, I'm not quite sure what that looks like yet. But we want to dive into that, right? And so when you're listening to this podcast, and when you're taking the time out of your week to maybe watch it or go back and listen to it again, I want you to really think about, what is it that God would have for me today as I listen to this, right? It may not be a topic that relates to you, right? It may be something like self-image, and that might be something that you personally don't struggle with as hard as other people do. But ask God, where is it, God, that you want to hear me listen to you today? And so we just want to bring that into the place of this podcast. And as we bring on other people, right, adults and professionals, I want to remind you that none of them are super Christians either, right? They're just because they're grown up, just because they may be a pastor, or just because they may be a youth leader or anything like that, doesn't mean they have all the answers either. But what it is cool is to hear what happens when those people that don't have all the answers get to talk to students and come to a conclusion together, or come to a verse together, or come through the Bible together. And figuring out, what does it look like, right? Well, what is the answer? And so I'm really excited about those several things. Like I said, for those of you on YouTube, and if you're on Spotify, I get it. It's convenient. It's easy. It's a drive. It's a bus ride, all of that. I would highly encourage you to go back to YouTube and re-listen or rehash it out, because the screen here that's off to my left, I feel like is going to be a really good and useful thing for us as we continue on. We're going to be able to throw some things up on this screen that you won't necessarily be able to interact with when you're on Spotify. But please, if you're on Spotify, still feel free to listen. We just may be referencing the screen sometimes as we get into this. But I'm really excited for what this screen has the ability to do, right? It doesn't really run itself, but it has the ability to hopefully get some other things pointed across and stuff like that. Huge thank you to Facebook Marketplace for finding some of these things on the cheap and on the down low. So yeah, I just want to finish this short, quick episode really with just some prayer and some time of just saying how much God really enjoys seeing his children follow him, right, students? God really enjoys, I think it brings him a smile when he sees you conquering the day with him. And that's through the challenges, it's through the hardships, it's through the good things, it's through the bad things, right? It really, it's a walk, right? And sometimes we trip, and sometimes we fall, And sometimes we fall really hard, and sometimes we fall really soft, and sometimes we break things. And God's just really excited to see you walk with it. So as we start this podcast and as we look into the future of what this is going to look like, man, just continue. Keep going. I think of, as Paul writes, pressing on towards a goal, right? Just keep pressing, right? Keep pressing into that, as Philippians says. And as we look back on each episode, I pray that we would also get better, right? That we would figure out how to articulate the gospel even better, how to communicate this even better, how to give you better visuals, how to give you better representation here, how to ask the right questions, how to articulate the right answers. And so if you would, students, prepare, get yourself ready. I'm excited. Here we go. Episode 2 obviously will be dropping next week. We're going to try to drop episodes every Wednesday, and we will record them obviously before that. So stay tuned every Wednesday. We're looking to drop at 6 a.m. We'll have it scheduled so you'll be able to hopefully get it on your way to school, or maybe after school or something like that. And parents, maybe it's on your drive into work, or maybe it's something else. But that's what we're kind of shooting for. So if you would, just let's end with a time of prayer here as we conclude this and really get ready to kick it off next week. So God, we just come to you this morning or afternoon or evening, whatever it may be. God, I ask that you would use the people that are amongst these 4 microphones to speak life. God, I pray that they would speak the word and the truth that the word brings. God, I pray that nothing would come out of the flesh. God, I pray that nothing would come out of emotion or out of I'm right and you're wrong. But God, it would come from a place of humility, of God, that you've placed us here with a purpose and a design, and that you're going to use us to do such. And so God, for each student, each teacher, each medical professional, each pastor, each youth leader that steps foot to one of these mics, God, that you would just use our voice to change the world. God, that it would be a place where students can find how to love you even better. God, how to step foot into a quiet time with you. God, how to manage the anxiety of the day with you. And so, God, for all those things, we just ask that you cover this podcast. God, you cover it from Satan. God, that you would not allow him to use this to destroy or divide or manipulate. But God, you would use it to build up, encourage, see students just be able to attack the places where Satan is really taking things away from them as they feel. And so God, just use this place, use this podcast. God, use this time that we gather each week together to just speak life. And so God, we thank you for the abundances and new mercies of the new day. And God, may we sit at your feet this week. In your name, amen. Hey guys, it was great to be with you so far here on episode 1. I cannot wait for episode 2. Tune in with us next week as we get ready to really kick this thing off and invite some people onto this podcast. I'm really excited. We will see you all in next week. So thank you again. For those of you on YouTube, a nice wave to you. Have a great rest of your day or evening or night, whatever you may be tuning in. And those of you on Spotify, have a great rest of your day or morning or evening. And we will catch you on the next one.